You're going about your day. Everything's fine. Nothing's wrong. And suddenly tears. Not sad tears. Not happy tears. Just tears. For no reason. You can't explain it. You tell yourself you're tired, stressed, hormonal, but deep down, you know it's something else. Something deeper. Something trying to break through. Jesus knew what this was. The Gnostic texts, the ones buried for 1,700 years, describe it explicitly. Those spontaneous tears, they're not random. They're not emotional breakdowns. They're spiritual breakthroughs. It's the monad, the divine spark inside you, breaking through the seals that keep you trapped in this material prison. The Archons placed 7 seals over your consciousness. 7 layers of forgetting. 7 barriers between you and your true divine nature. And when those seals start to crack, your body responds with tears. But the church doesn't teach this. They tell you crying is weakness, sadness, sin even. Get it together. Pray it away. Take it to confession. But they're wrong. Those unexplained tears are the most sacred thing happening to you. They're the sign that something real is waking up inside. In the next 20 minutes, you're going to discover what Jesus actually taught about spontaneous crying. The 7 seals described in Gnostic texts and how they're breaking in you right now. The neuroscience proving tears carry different chemical signatures depending on their spiritual origin. And why the institutional church buried this knowledge. Because if you understood what's really happening when you cry for no reason, you'd stop seeking answers from them. You'd start seeking answers from within. But first, I need to show you what the seals actually are. This is why here at Awakened Minds, we go deeper than surface psychology. Because when you understand the metaphysics of tears, you realize even your body's involuntary responses are coded messages from your own divinity trying to remember itself. You've been taught that tears need a reason. Someone died, you got hurt, you watched a sad movie. Cause and effect, stimulus and response. That's how emotions work, right? But here's the problem. Sometimes you cry and there is no cause, no trigger, no external reason. You're driving, you're showering, you're staring out a window, and suddenly, tears. Not a few, a flood. Deep, body-shaking sobs that come from somewhere you can't name. The world calls this depression, anxiety, unresolved trauma. And sure, sometimes it is, but not always. Sometimes it's something the modern world has completely forgotten how to recognize. The Gnostics had a word for it. They called it anamnesis. Remembering. Not remembering something that happened to you in this life. Remembering what you are beyond this life. Remembering your origin in the pleroma, the realm of divine fullness, before you were trapped here. And that remembering? It doesn't come as thoughts, it comes as tears. The body weeping for a home it forgot existed. Here's what they took from you. The 7 seals. In Gnostic cosmology, particularly in texts like the Apocryphon of John and the Pistis Sophia, the Archons, those rulers of the material world, placed 7 seals over human consciousness. These aren't metaphorical, they're energetic. 7 layers of forgetting, 7 veils over your divine memory. What are the 7 seals? Seal 1, forgetfulness. You forgot you came from the pleroma. Seal 2, ignorance. You believe the material world is all that exists. Seal 3, fear. You're terrified of death because you forgot you're eternal. Seal 4, desire. You grasp at material things to fill a void that can't be filled materially. Seal 5. Wrath. You react with anger because you feel separate and threatened. Seal 6. Pride. You identify with the ego and believe you are the small self. Seal 7. Kingdom. You submit to the rulers of this world, forgetting you are sovereign. These 7 seals keep you asleep, keep you controlled, keep you believing you're just a body, just a name, just a temporary blip in a meaningless universe. But the monad, that divine spark inside you, the piece of the true God that lives at your core, it never stops trying to wake you up. And when it succeeds, even just for a moment, in cracking one of those seals, your body releases the pressure, with tears. The pistis. Sophia, a Gnostic text from the 3rd century, describes it like this. When the soul remembers the light, it weeps, not from sorrow, but from the violence of the remembering. For the remembering is like fire breaking through stone. Fire breaking through stone. That's what's happening when you cry for no reason. The remembering is so intense, so overwhelming that your physical body can't contain it. It has to release, through water, through salt, through tears. And Jesus, he knew. In the Gospel of Mary, one of the Nag Hammadi texts, Jesus says to the disciples, "Do not lay down any rules beyond what I have appointed you, and do not give a law like the lawgiver, lest you be constrained by it. Blessed is the one who has known the suffering and has found the body." Found the body. He's saying, the body is the vessel where this remembering happens, where the seals break, where the monad fights its way back to awareness. And when you cry without knowing why, you're not broken, you're breaking open. But the church inverted this too. They taught you that unexplained crying is demonic. Possession, weakness, mental illness. Get therapy, take medication, confess your sins, anything but recognize it for what it really is, the most sacred moment of your spiritual awakening. Because if you knew, you wouldn't need them to fix you. You'd celebrate it, you'd honor it, you'd sit in those tears and let the seals shatter. There's a phenomenon the Gnostics described in multiple texts. They called it the bridal chamber, the moment when the soul reunites with its divine counterpart, its original wholeness. It's not a place, it's a state of remembering that you are not separate from God. You are God experiencing itself through a human lens. And that moment of recognition, that instant when the seal of separation cracks even slightly, the body weeps, not sad weeping, not happy weeping, recognition weeping. The pistis. Sophia describes Sophia, the divine wisdom, weeping when she realizes she's fallen into the material world and forgotten her origin. Her tears aren't from sadness, they're from the shock of recognition. I was asleep, I forgot, and now I'm starting to remember. The text says, she wept greatly, and her tears became a sea. That's not poetic exaggeration. That's describing the intensity. When the monad inside you breaks through even one seal, the emotional release is so massive it feels like drowning. You can't stop it. You can't control it. You can only surrender. And here's what the church doesn't tell you: that surrender is holy. It's not weakness. It's the strongest thing you'll ever do. Because you're allowing the false self to die so the true self can emerge. The Gospel of Thomas, saying 28, records Jesus saying, "I took my place in the midst of the world, and I appeared to them in flesh. I found all of them intoxicated. I found none of them thirsty. and my soul became afflicted for the sons of men, because they are blind in their hearts and do not have sight. Jesus weeps, not because people are sinful, because they're asleep, and he can see what they've forgotten. He can see the seals, and his soul is afflicted by how deeply they've forgotten themselves. That's the same affliction you feel when you cry for no reason. It's not your sadness, it's the sadness of the divine within you, mourning the forgetting, mourning the seals, and simultaneously celebrating the cracks forming in those seals. It's grief and joy at the same time, which is why you can't name the emotion, because it's both. It's the monad weeping for what was lost and rejoicing for what's being found. And this isn't mystical nonsense. Science proves tears are different depending on their origin. Let me show you the neuroscience, then the history, then the practice. Let's start with what scientists discovered about tears. 1981. Biochemist William Frey, University of Minnesota. He was the first to analyze the chemical composition of different types of tears. He identified 3 categories: basal tears, lubricate the eyes, constant low-level production; reflex tears, response to irritation, onion cutting, dust; emotional tears, triggered by feelings. And here's where it gets interesting. Emotional tears have a completely different chemical signature than the other 2. They contain higher levels of protein, specifically prolactin, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and leucine and enkephalin, which is a natural painkiller. They also contain manganese and potassium, minerals associated with stress regulation. The conclusion? Emotional tears aren't just water. They're releasing stress chemicals from the body. Crying is literally detoxifying your system. But there's more. 2015. Study from the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel. They discovered that emotional tears contain chemical signals, pheromones that communicate emotional states to others subconsciously. When someone cries near you, even if you don't see them, you can sense it chemically. You respond with empathy. Your brain mirrors their emotional state. Translation? Tears are language, non-verbal chemical language. Your body is communicating something your mind can't articulate. And when you cry for no reason, your body is communicating with itself. The monad, using tears as the language, is telling your conscious mind, wake up. Remember, the seals are breaking. But here's the most fascinating part. 2020. Study from UCLA. Researchers compared the chemical composition of tears shed during different emotional contexts. Sad tears from watching a movie, happy tears at a wedding, grief tears after loss. And then, a 4th category they stumbled on by accident. Spontaneous tears. Tears with no identifiable external trigger. Guess what they found? Spontaneous tears had the highest concentration of stress hormones and the highest concentration of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. They also showed elevated endorphins. The researchers were confused. How can tears simultaneously release stress and produce bonding/pleasure chemicals? Their conclusion: spontaneous crying may represent an internal recalibration process, a reset of emotional and hormonal baselines independent of external stimuli. Internal recalibration. Reset. That's exactly what the Gnostics described. The monad breaking the seals, your system resetting to remember its divine origin. Science just gave it a different name. Let me tell you about a man. I'll call him David. David was 42. Successful career, good marriage, no trauma, no depression, physically healthy. And then it started. He'd be sitting at his desk and suddenly, tears. Driving home, tears. Making coffee, tears. Not every day, but 2-3 times a week. He said, "I felt insane. I'd ask myself, 'Why are you crying?' And I had no answer. Nothing was wrong. But I couldn't stop." He went to therapy. The therapist diagnosed mild depression, prescribed SSRIs. David took them for 3 months. The crying stopped. But so did everything else. He felt numb, flat. He described it as a gray fog. So he stopped the medication, and the tears came back. Stronger. Then he found a book, The Gnostic Gospels by Elaine Pagels. He read about anamnesis, about the monad, about the seals breaking, and something clicked. He stopped trying to stop the tears. He started honoring them. He'd sit with them. Ask, "What are you trying to show me?" And within 2 weeks, something shifted. He said, "The tears didn't stop, but they changed. Instead of feeling like I was breaking down, it felt like I was breaking through. And after each episode, I'd feel this clarity, this lightness, like something heavy had been lifted that I didn't even know I was carrying." 6 months later, David describes spontaneous tears as the most sacred part of my week. He doesn't fear them. He welcomes them because he understands it's the monad doing its work. This is the exact kind of transformation people report when they stop pathologizing spiritual experiences and start honoring them. A follower reached out after an Awakened Minds video on Gnostic awakening symptoms. She said, "I thought I was losing my mind until I understood my tears were remembering." When patterns repeat, therapists misdiagnose. Science validates different chemical signatures. Ancient texts describe the same phenomenon, you realize. This isn't mental illness. This is spiritual emergence. But you know who else recognizes this? Mystics across every tradition, Sufis. They have a practice called weeping meditation, intentionally crying to crack open the heart and dissolve the ego. They say, "The one who has not wept has not prayed." The tears are the prayer. Buddhist monks. In certain Vajrayana practices, practitioners weep uncontrollably during transmission of teachings. It's called tears of devotion, but it's not devotion to the teacher. It's devotion to the true self being recognized. Christian mystics, Saint Teresa of Avila, Saint John of the Cross, they all describe the gift of tears, spontaneous weeping during prayer with no sadness attached. They called it a sign of divine presence. The Catholic Church even has a term for it, charism of tears. But they don't teach it anymore. Why? Because it empowers individual direct experience. No priest needed. Hindu tradition. Bhakti devotion often includes spontaneous tears during meditation or chanting. They call it bhava, divine emotion. The tears aren't for anything. They're the overflow of the soul touching its source. Different names, same experience, same chemical signature, same function. The monad-breaking seals. Stop. Let's connect everything. Gnostic texts describing 7 seals placed by Archons over divine memory. Jesus teaching that the body is where remembering happens. Neuroscience proving spontaneous tears have unique chemical composition. Stress release plus bonding hormones. Real people experiencing unexplained crying followed by clarity and lightness. Mystics across every tradition, Sufi, Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, all honoring spontaneous tears as sacred. Everything converges. So why does modern psychology call it depression? Why does the church call it weakness? Why are you taught to stop crying instead of surrender to it? The answer is the same as always: control. To understand why this was hidden, follow the pattern. Who benefits when you believe spontaneous tears are pathological? When you medicate them away? When you confess them as sin? The pharmaceutical industry. Antidepressants are a $15 billion market in the US alone. SSR is don't just stop sadness. They stop all deep emotional release, including sacred tears, including the monad-breaking seals. You become numb, manageable, compliant. The psychiatric establishment. If they admitted that some crying is spiritual breakthrough, not mental breakdown, they'd lose authority. They'd have to acknowledge something beyond brain chemistry, beyond diagnosis codes, beyond billable sessions. The institutional church. If they taught that spontaneous tears are divine remembering, people wouldn't need priests to intercede, wouldn't need confession to process, wouldn't need the church to interpret their experience. They'd trust their own body, their own monad, their own direct line to God. So they inverted it, made tears shameful, made crying weak, made spontaneous emotion irrational. And when you do cry, they pathologize it, diagnose it, medicate it, anything but honor it as the most sacred biological function of spiritual awakening. The 7 seals were placed by Archons. But guess what? The pharmaceutical, psychiatric, religious complex? That's the modern archontic structure. Same function. Keep you asleep. Keep you controlled. Keep you believing you're broken when you're actually breaking open. But now you know. The tears aren't the problem. Suppressing them is. Let me show you exactly what to do when the monad starts breaking the seals. Enough theory. Here's what to do when you cry for no reason, how to honor it, how to work with the monad instead of against it. The practice, sacred witnessing of tears. When spontaneous tears come, stop everything. Don't push through. Don't distract yourself. Don't apologize. This is sacred time. Step 1. Create space. Go somewhere private. Sit or lie down. Place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. This grounds the energy in your body. Step 2. Witness without fixing. Don't ask, why am I crying? Don't try to find a reason. Just witness. Say internally or aloud, I see you, I honor you, I allow you. Let the tears flow. Don't stop them. Don't force them. Just allow. Step 3. Track the seal. As you cry, notice what thoughts or images arise. Often, one of the 7 seals is cracking. You might suddenly feel, I don't belong here. Seal 1, forgetfulness. This world isn't real. Seal 2, ignorance. I'm not afraid anymore. Seal 3, fear. Nothing material satisfies me. Seal 4, desire. I forgive everyone, including myself. Seal 5, wrath. I am not this ego. Seal 6, pride. I don't submit to any external authority. Seal 7, kingdom. Whichever thought arises, that's the seal breaking. Acknowledge it. Seal of forgetfulness, you are breaking. I remember. Step 4. Breathe into the expansion. After the tears slow, don't jump up. Stay. Breathe deeply for 3 to 5 minutes. Notice the space inside you. The lightness, the clarity. That's the monad. That's you without the seal. Step 5. Journal the download. Immediately after, write, not about why you cried, about what you saw, what you remembered, what truth became clear. This anchors the breakthrough. Expected results. First time, confusion, but also relief. The crying will feel clean, not heavy. After 3 to 5 episodes, you'll start recognizing which seal is breaking based on the quality of the tears. After consistent practice over 3 months, the crying becomes less frequent but more powerful. Each episode cracks deeper. You'll notice patterns. Certain seals break repeatedly until they fully dissolve. Ultimate result: you stop fearing your tears. You start craving them, because you understand each one is the monad winning. Each one is you remembering. Each one is a seal dissolving. Warning: what not to do. Mistake 1: trying to cry on command. You can't force this. The monad breaks seals on its timeline, not your ego's. If you try to manufacture tears, you're just manipulating emotion. Real sacred tears come spontaneously. Mistake 2: sharing with people who don't understand. If you tell someone, "I cried for no reason and it was beautiful," and they look at you like you're crazy, stop sharing with them. Protect this experience. Only share with people who get it. Mistake 3: medicating it away. If you're on SSRIs and you're reading this, I'm not telling you to stop. I'm not a doctor. But talk to your doctor about the possibility that some of your tears might be spiritual, not pathological. Explore. Question. Don't just accept the diagnosis. If you avoid those mistakes, the seals will break, one by one, and you will remember who you are. Let's recap. You came in thinking crying for no reason meant something was wrong with you. You discovered it's the monad breaking the 7 seals the Archons placed over your divine memory. You saw the evidence. Gnostic texts describing tears as remembering. Neuroscience proving spontaneous tears have unique chemistry. Real people experiencing breakthroughs after honoring their tears instead of suppressing them. Mystics across traditions, Sufi, Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, all teaching that sacred tears dissolve the ego and reveal the true self. You understood why the system, pharmaceutical, psychiatric, religious, wants you to pathologize and medicate tears, because tears that break seals create people who can't be controlled. And now you have the practice. Witness without fixing. Track the seal. Breathe into expansion. Journal the download. In 20 minutes, you learned what most will never know. You're not the same person who clicked this video. Now you understand your tears. Now you know they're not weakness. They're remembering. They're the monad breaking free. And this is just the beginning. There's so much more about the other physical symptoms of seals breaking, how to accelerate the process safely, and what happens after all 7 seals dissolve. If you want me to go deeper, leave in the comments. Break the seals. If this video resonated, like it. Show the algorithm that people are ready for this knowledge. And subscribe, because the next video reveals what happens to your body when the 7th seal finally breaks. And it's not what you think. Remember, your tears aren't random, they're sacred. The monad is breaking the seals. Don't medicate the awakening. Honor it. Witness it. Let it shatter everything false inside you. See you in the next one.